This is the math video for Chapter 10, Lesson 1. All right? And our learning target is to find the volume of rectangular prisms. Now, we need to know what volume means. We need to know what rectangular prism is. Okay, so let's talk about those two things to begin with. Volume. We need to define the word volume. Volume is the amount of space inside a three-dimensional figure. So I picture like a glass or a bucket or anything that you can put things into. You might want to know how much space there is. How much water do I need to fill it? What's the volume? The one kind of thing that comes to mind first is like a fish tank. If you have a fish tank, you need to know what the volume is. Is it a 1 gallon, 2 gallon? How many gallons of water do you need to fill it? And so you got to ask yourself, what is the volume? All right, the amount of space inside a three-dimensional figure. So that's volume. Now, what is a three-dimensional figure? Well, a rectangular prism is a three-dimensional figure, but a way to define it is a three-dimensional figure is a figure that has a length, a width, and a height. Okay? And so formulas are perfect for finding the area, the volume, anything like that. If you have a formula and you have all the parts of the formula, you can figure out what you want. All right? So I have a three-dimensional figure here. It's a prism. It's a rectangular prism. I know it because it has a height here. This is the height. It has a width. That's my width. And it has a length. This is my length right here. So it has 10 feet by 4 feet by 6 feet. Now the formula is pretty simple. It's length times width times height. And then you'll get your volume. The other way to think about it is volume would be base times height. So if I can figure out this base, the area of this base right here, that's what the big B means. When it's a big B, it means the area of the base. Okay? So if I can find the area of this base, then I just times it by the height. Let me show you what I mean. Okay? It's a little bit tricky. So here I have a container. Okay? I have a three-dimensional figure. It's it can hold things. I put dice in it. Okay, and I want to show you why. So this has a length, it has a width, and it has a height. This is my height. Okay? Now, I'm going to measure it like my dice are the units. Okay? So if I can find the base, let me count my dice. I can kind of look this way, and I know I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dice. 6 dice here, and then I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's a 6 by 6. Now, how do I find the area of a 6 by 6? It's the base times the height of a two-dimensional figure. Okay, so I'm getting this two-dimensional figure. I'm getting the area of just this, and it's a 6 by 6, so it's 36. So I have 36 dice in here. Now, if it was just this figure, I could get 36 dice in there. But it's a rectangular prism. So I want to know, here's one layer of 36. So this is my length and my width. My length and my width. I multiply those together, I get that one layer of this can get me 36 dice. But the formula is length times width times height. So if this is 36, every layer I go is going to be times 36. So 6 times whatever high. All right, so now let's figure that out. I'm going to put dice in here to see how many levels I can get. Okay, so now, try not to dump it. There we go. I have a 6 by 6. And then I have, that's my phone, hang on. Sorry about that. Okay, so I have a 6 by 6, and then I know I have one row here, then another, and another, and another, and another, and another until it gets to the top. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 layers of 36. So 6 times 6 is 36, times 6 layers would be 216. So I can get 216 dice in here. And the way I figured it out is I figured out my one layer, my base, my area of my base. Once I find the area of the base, then how many high do I need to go? Okay? And that's how I can find how much fits in, how much volume goes in to that rectangular prism. All right, so let's do the formula on this one here. We'll call this like a fish tank, and I want to know how much water I need to get in here. So I have a 10 length, a width of 4, and a height of 6 feet. So I'm going to start with this formula here first. Volume equals length times width times height. I always like to write the formula out and then put the numbers in for my variables. So do I know the volume? I do not know it, so it comes down. Do I know my length? I do. It's 10. So this variable is 10 times width is 4 times height is 6. Okay, so I have a 10 by 4 by 6. And if I multiply those together, volume equals 10 times 4 is 40 times 6. Volume equals 240. And now I need a unit. The unit is feet. And because it's the volume, it's not just the area, it's not how many squares can fit in there, but it's how many cubes can fit in that area. There's a little 3 there. So 240 feet cubed goes in there. And you would say that as 240 cubic feet. That's how many cubic feet can go in there. All right. Now, let's try the other way also. Volume equals the area of the base. That's why it's a big B. If it's a small b, it's just the base. But if it's a big B, it's area of the base times the height. So on this one, I want to figure out my area, how many squares can go in that area, just in that. And the way I do that is length times width. So 10 times 4, I can get 40 squares there. Okay, so the volume equals my area of the base is 40 times my height is 6. And the volume equals 240 feet cubed. You get the same answer, it's just 2 different ways to do it. All right? So, when you think about how much is in a container, a rectangular prism, or any kind of three-dimensional shape, the formula is length times width times height. All right? Now, we can do this if we know some of the numbers, but not all of them. Okay? So stick with me here. On this, I have the volume of this, we'll call it a fish tank too. I have a volume of this fish tank. It's 84 meters cubed, or cubic meters. Okay, 84. Now, I know the length, I know the width, but I don't know the height. So I'm going to plug things into the formula. Do I know the volume? I do. It's 84 equals the length of 6 times my width of 4 times my height. I don't know. Okay? So now I multiply these two together. 84 equals 24 times h. Now I just want this h all by itself. If it's being multiplied by 24, I now divide it by 24, and I do that to each side. So then I'm going to divide 84 divided by 24, and I get 3.5. 3.5 equals my height, and I'm going to put that in here, 3.5. Now, once I get the height, I want to check it to make sure this is all good. Now I know my formula. Volume equals length times width times height. So volume equals length is 6 times height is 4 times 3.5. Let's see if I do those, I get 84. Volume equals, that's 24 times 3.5. Now volume equals, I'm going to do that, 24 times 3.5 equals 84 cubic meters, which is the same as what I started with, okay? And you could do that if you know the length, but not the width, and you know the height. If you're just missing one of these, but know the volume, you can figure it out. You're just doing your algebra. You change the variable for the number you know, and with all of these problems, you'll always have one variable missing. It might be the V for volume, it might be the length, the L for length, it might be the width, or the height. You're going to be missing one, and you'll have everything else. If you have everything else but just missing one, you can do algebra to get that one answer, and then plug it in to make sure it's the correct one. Okay? So that is your basic way on how to find the volume of a rectangular prism. Volume equals length times width times height.